Hello, and welcome to Eyes on Vaughan. I'm Styles Q. Weinberg, looking out for you. Perhaps you've noticed this on the CBC feed. Right here in Vaughan, there seems to be a very big concern over a loss of $11 million. We have had council return this amount of money to developers, and it may be a bit confusing, but we have here a guest who is going to tell you all about it and what it all means. With us, we have one of the biggest advocates here in the city of Vaughan. I'm proud to present our guest tonight, Mr. Richard Lorello. Good evening, Richard, and welcome to Eyes on Vaughan.
Thank you for having me, Styles. Very much appreciate the time to explain the situation.
Explain the situation. I understand that something serious is happening, and unfortunately, a lot of the people out there in our audience don't really understand what's going on with all of the terms and technology and things that they use to confuse the issue, but you're going to help us clear it up. So, what is happening, Richard?
Well, about a year ago, early in 2021, I started questioning the relationship between our current mayor, Mayor Bevilacqua, and the developer at Royal 7, Mr. Mario Cortellucci. So I started looking into some of the applications that developer had put in, and the one that I focused on was Expo City at Credit Stone and Highway 7. And what I found after receiving hundreds and hundreds of Freedom of Information documents as a result of my request, unbeknownst to me and unbeknownst to anyone in the city, was that I saw refunds totaling approximately $11.75 million on four condo towers. So that was an actual refund and forgiveness of that money, which was supposed to be paid for parks. It's referred to as cash in lieu for parkland when a property owner doesn't have enough land to actually deed to the city for parks.
You say forgiveness. That means that they don't have to pay that money?
No, the in-camera session that they had, whatever the terms of that agreement was, had the city refund, and I have copies of the check, millions of dollars, and the revocation of what is known as letters of credit that the city could have drawn on, but did not. So the $11.75 million was refunded and or forgiven.
We had a policy that was promised to us in the past elections past, and past. One of the biggest promises that we've had was transparency, but yet you had to go to the Freedoms of Information Act to get that information. What happened to the transparency? I understand that all this was done behind closed doors.
And that's a great question, because what you see in the public hearings, is that the condo towers in this case were all approved with the condition that cash in lieu for parkland would be paid. And that's what the public knows. What the public doesn't know, and speaks to the issue of transparency that Styles brings up, is that in closed session, the applicant and council agreed to settle this matter of cash in lieu and actually returned the money to the developer. And that was done without explanation. So not only was I surprised that the money had been returned, or that it even happened, but the other aspect of it is the city's refusing to say why.
You know what? I'll tell you, Richard, this seems to be something that has plagued Vaughan since the 25 years that I have lived here. There's always seems to be some kind of a hurdle that when it comes to transparency, when it comes to involvement, when it comes to associations, something, even when building the hospital, we had a lot of problems in doing so, and I raised quite a bit of money for the hospital. And I think that it's time that we are going to investigate what is happening right now as far as the authorities looking into this? I know that CBC is looking into it. It's being brought up on their website. It has been accusing, or not accusing, but certainly encouraging investigations. What's happening with that?
Well, and that's a great question as well, because one of the things that I did to make sure I was still sane was that I brought this issue to a lawyer to get a legal opinion on what had transpired. I shared with him all the Freedom of Information documents. He went through them and came back and said he's never seen anything like this, and that the city should be revealing what the nature of this agreement was. And out of that legal opinion, he's actually saying that it does require further investigation, and if the city's not forthcoming, then maybe the OPP should be looking at this.
Richard, I think that it's a very serious problem with allegations. One way or the other, we have to really bring an end to the story. Either we look into it and find out what is the problem, who is at fault, or we clear everybody and continue on to move forward, because we are coming into a new, fresh election. And I want to thank you very much for joining us with Eyes on Vaughan. How would they get a hold of you? How would our viewers be able to ask you questions and get involved and maybe help you with the looking into the entire situation?
I have an email address, just like everybody, of course. It's rlorello@rogers.com. Be happy to answer any questions. Any suggestions would be of value as well. So yeah, feel free.
Richard, thank you for joining us at Eyes on Vaughan. I'm Stiles Q. Weinberg, looking out for you. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with some more interesting situations and topics and guests. Till next time.